The moment the curtain dropped, I saw my worst moment frozen on a giant screen. And everyone I knew started laughing. Not polite laughter, not nervous laughter, real laughter. Have you ever stood in a room full of people and realised at the exact same second that you are the joke? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. My name is Eudora Vance. I'm 72 years old, and that night was supposed to be my birthday. I remember gripping my cane tightly as the second image flashed across the screen. Me, mid-fall, my dress caught at the worst possible angle, no dignity left to salvage, just a still frame of humiliation, enlarged for everyone to study. The room echoed. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched. Because here's the part that didn't make sense. It wasn't the image that shocked me. It was her, standing to the side, smiling, proud. Maribel Crowe, 71, my best friend for 38 years. 38. Do you know how long that is? Long enough to memorize someone's habits, long enough to trust them without question, long enough to never imagine they'd turn you into entertainment. She had insisted on this party, pushed for it. "You only turn 72 once," she told me. "Let me make it special." I didn't want special. I wanted quiet, tea, a book, the kind of birthday that doesn't leave a mark. But she wouldn't let it go. And now I understood why. Or at least, I thought I did. Because as the slideshow continued, photo after photo, each worse than the last, I started noticing something else. Not just the images, the details around them, the angles, the timing, the moments I didn't even remember happening. Tell me something. How does someone capture that many private moments without you knowing? That's when the confusion started to fade, and something colder took its place. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't harmless. This was planned. Carefully. Deliberately. The laughter grew louder, filling every corner of the room. Some people leaned forward, enjoying it. Others avoided my eyes completely. And Maribel? She raised her glass, ready to speak, like this was her grand performance. But I tightened my grip on my cane. Not because I felt weak, because I was waiting for the exact right moment. Because here's what no one in that room knew. I wasn't the only one who came prepared that night. I didn't react when the next photo came up. I just stood there and watched. Tell me, what would you have done? Would you have shouted, walked out, demanded it stop? I did none of those things, because reacting too soon ruins everything. Maribel always said I was predictable, quiet, reserved, easy to read. So I gave her exactly what she expected. Nothing. Another image flashed, me squinting in the sun, mouth half open, caught mid-expression. The room chuckled again, not as loudly this time, but enough. And that's when I started looking around. Not at the screen, at the people. You learn a lot when you stop being the center of attention and start observing instead. Some of them were enjoying it, leaning into each other, whispering, smiling too freely. Others looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, avoiding eye contact with me. Interesting, isn't it? How quickly people decide what side they're on when the tone of a room is set. Maribel stepped forward, raising her glass slightly. "Tonight," she said, her voice bright and polished, "we celebrate the real Eudora." Laughter again. But all I could hear was history. Because this wasn't new. Not really. It had been building, slowly, subtly. At first, it was harmless, little jokes at my expense, stories retold with just enough exaggeration to get a laugh. Then came the luncheon. I remember it clearly. She pulled out a letter I had written years ago, personal, private, never meant for anyone else, and she read it out loud like it was a performance piece. Everyone laughed then too, and I let it happen. That was my mistake. Because when you let something slide once, people assume they can go further the next time, and further again, until you're standing in a room like this, watching your life turned into a spectacle. But here's the part that changed everything. As I stood there, listening, watching, I noticed something off. Maribel kept glancing toward the back of the room. Not casually, not absent-mindedly. No, this was different. Quick looks, tight smiles, a flicker of something underneath the confidence. Nervousness. Why would she be nervous? Unless there was something back there she didn't want disturbed. So I followed her gaze, slowly, quietly, and that's when I saw it. A small table, an envelope resting on top, exactly where I had left it, unopened, untouched, waiting. And in that moment, everything aligned, because while Maribel thought she was controlling the night, she had no idea. She was standing right in the middle of mine. That's when I did something no one in that room expected. I smiled. Not out of embarrassment, not to play along, but because everything was finally confirming itself. Have you ever had that moment? When a suspicion stops being a feeling and becomes a fact? Maribel clapped her hands lightly, drawing attention back to herself like a conductor regaining control of an orchestra. "And now," she said, her voice lifting with excitement, "for the final surprise." The lights dimmed further, the room quieted, and then the video started. My living room, my furniture, my voice. I watched myself on that screen, moving through my own home, unaware, adjusting a lamp, struggling to open a jar, sitting in silence longer than most people would find comfortable. This time, the laughter didn't come right away. Because this wasn't just embarrassing anymore. It was intrusive, unsettling, too real. You could feel it shifting, couldn't you? The mood in the room, that subtle discomfort creeping in. Good, because that's exactly what I felt. But not surprise, not anymore. Just confirmation. I tightened my grip on my cane and tapped it once against the floor. Sharp, deliberate. The sound cut through everything. "Maribel," I said calmly, "you've always loved an audience." A few people let out uncertain laughs, but they faded quickly. She tried to keep smiling, tried to stay in control. But I didn't step back. I stepped forward, closer to the screen, closer to her. And I let the video keep playing behind me. Then I asked the question that changed the entire room. "Would you all like to see how that footage was made?" Silence. Not the polite kind, the heavy kind. The kind that makes people sit up straighter. Now tell me, why would someone ask that, unless they already knew the answer? Maribel's expression shifted, just for a second, but I saw it, that flicker, that crack. I turned my head slightly toward the back of the room. "Icarus," I said. He hesitated. Of course he did. Icarus Pell, 29. The technician she hired, the one who set up the projector, the one who thought he was just doing a job. But earlier that day, I made sure he understood exactly what he was part of. Slowly, he walked forward, carrying the laptop. You could feel the tension building now, people leaning in, watching more carefully, because something wasn't right anymore. Something was shifting. I nodded once. That was all it took. The screen flickered, the video cut out, and then a new clip appeared. Not my home, not my face. This time, it was hers. The first frame froze for half a second, and in that half second, the entire room changed. Because it was unmistakable. Maribel, inside my house, alone. Let that settle for a moment. Not visiting, not invited, not expected. Just there, moving like she belonged. The clip resumed. She walked straight to my bookshelf, no hesitation, no searching, and reached behind a row of books. Her hand disappeared for a second, then came back empty. But I knew exactly what she had done, because I had already found it. A small camera, carefully placed, perfect angle. The room was silent now, completely silent. No laughter, no whispers, just the faint hum of the projector. I took a slow breath. I had a feeling something was off, I said, my voice steady, clear. A neighbour mentioned seeing someone enter my house while I was out. I let that sit, watched their faces. Confusion, discomfort, realization. So I decided to check for myself. Another clip played. Maribel again, this time on her phone, pacing my living room like it was her own. Her voice echoed through the speakers. "They're going to love it. She won't even know what hit her." A ripple moved through the crowd. Not laughter, something heavier. You could see it in their posture, the way people leaned back now instead of forward. Distance. That's what they wanted. Distance from her, from this, from what they were suddenly part of. I turned slightly, just enough to look at her, really look at her. And for the first time that night, she couldn't look back. Her confidence gone, replaced with something fragile, unsteady. "Not just once," I continued. "Multiple times." I nodded toward the screen again. Another clip, another entry. Another moment of her moving through my home like it was a stage set. Then came the one that mattered most. She was sitting at my kitchen table, speaking to someone on speakerphone, laughing, calling me predictable, calling me easy. Some of the voices that answered her were in this room. You could see it hit them. Recognition, regret. Too late for both. The shift was complete now. She wasn't hosting anymore. She wasn't in control. She was exposed, fully. I took a step closer to her. Not fast, not aggressive, precise, measured. And I said, just loud enough for everyone to hear, "I haven't shown them everything." Her head snapped up, eyes wide, because now she finally understood. This wasn't a moment. It was a reckoning. No one spoke, not after that. The room felt different now, like the air itself had thickened, pressing down on everyone at once. I let the silence stretch. Then I told them everything. Not quickly, not emotionally, clearly. I started noticing small things, I said. Objects slightly out of place, doors not quite how I left them. At first I thought it was age, forgetfulness. But then I tested it, moved things deliberately, subtly. And when they kept shifting, I knew. So I installed cameras, quietly, professionally, without telling anyone. I didn't confront her. I watched, documented, waited. Because if someone is willing to go that far, you don't interrupt them. You let them finish. I glanced at Maribel. She looked smaller now. Not physically, but in presence, like something had folded inward. "You had a key," I said. "Copied, I assume?" She didn't deny it. Didn't say anything at all, which told me everything I needed. "You entered my home repeatedly, recorded me, collected material." I gestured lightly towards the projector, and then built this. A pause. Then I added, "I filed a report yesterday." That landed. You could see it ripple through the room. Because now it wasn't just personal. It was legal, real, permanent. I turned slightly, letting my eyes pass over the others. "Some of you knew," I said. A few looked down immediately. Others stayed very still. No one argued. No one defended her. That was answer enough. One by one, people began stepping back, not dramatically, not loudly, just distancing themselves. And Maribel? She stood there alone. Eventually, someone from the venue staff approached her quietly, said something low, directed her towards the exit. She didn't fight it, didn't look at me again. She just left. And no one followed. That's the thing about moments like this. They don't end with shouting. They end with silence and separation. By the next morning, it had spread. Calls, messages, quiet conversations turning louder. People chose sides, carefully but consistently. And she wasn't on the winning one. When it was all over, the room emptied. Just like that. I stayed behind. There was a cake still sitting on the table, uncut, untouched. I walked over, struck a match, and lit a single candle. No audience, no performance, just me. 72 years old, and finally uninterrupted. "I suppose," I said softly, "this was memorable after all." I sat there for a moment longer. Then I leaned forward and blew out the candle. Everything, at last, exactly where it belonged.